Hey guys, welcome. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's been kind of a weird day, kind of an abnormal Thursday. And so I'm going to show you some of the books. I'm not going to call them weird, but some of the books I don't normally show. I still really like these. Um, and they fit our family really well, but they're just not ones that I normally show for parties and stuff. But they're still really good. And it's February, so our spotlight is still on picture books. So I'm going to go ahead and start with those. If I can get them out of my stack. Okay, these two, Unicorns Don't Love Sparkles and Unicorns Don't Love Rainbows. So I got these for my daughters for their birthday this year, and they're 6. And these are just really fun. They're very colorful. So if you have girls, this is great. If you have girls who are not super girly, this is great. So this is your unicorn, and he's like, you know what? I don't love rainbows. I don't want these fancy gifts. I don't like glitter. I don't like all this stuff. And it's the whole message is it's okay to be different. And then at the end, I really love it. It's like your friends can love other things that you love, and you can still be friends. You can like what you like, they can like what they like, and you can still be friends. And so I really like it. It says, I can be me and you can be you, and we can help others to feel that way too. For here is the most helpful thing you will find. The best thing in life is to always be kind. And so I kind of like that. I would have really resonated with these when I was a kid because I didn't always like the same things that everybody else liked. But it's okay. That's okay. So unicorns don't love sparkles and unicorns don't love rainbows. And then I also, since you're still on picture books, this is a series that is super fun, very imaginative, very well written. So this is The Tale of the Valiant Ninja Frog, The Prince and the Witch and the Thief and the Bears, and then Space Pirate Bears. And this is a series that you can read pretty much in any order, and it always starts with dad and 2 kids. I think it's Jamie and Abby. Jamie and Abby. And so you've got Dad and Jamie and Abby, and they are creating a story. And what I love about this one is that it takes some twists. It's like, you've got this witch, and she's got a frog in her pocket. And what if the witch is not the bad guy? What if the witch is just kind of misunderstood, you know? And if you've ever, like, told a story with your kids, like, adding to it, and you know how sometimes it's like, sure, we can make that work. Absolutely. It's just, they're really pretty books, and sometimes there's like pauses of like dad's coming up with something else, or sometimes like Abby and Jamie are kind of arguing on some of the details of the story, and then dad's like, and then this happens, and they've got to get back to it. And so it kind of breaks the fourth wall a little bit. But they're really fun stories. They're really cute. They're very creative. And I love that dad is like one of the main characters in this one, because a lot of books are like very mom focused, and this one is very much kids and their dads. And so this is a series. I say it's a series. You can read them in any order. They don't necessarily build on each other. I mean, they kind of do, but like I think we got what is technically the third one. I think this one is technically the third one first, and it's just really fun. Space Pirate Bears is really fun. And so the Prince and the Witch and the Thief and the Bears, Space Pirate Bears, and the Tale of the Valiant Ninja Frog. If it matters, I do believe this is the first one. But they're just really fun, really cute. So that's a fun series. Also, like I said, we homeschool, and one of the like interesting finds that I found is our state capitals book. We don't travel quite as much as I would love to, but we travel some. And this is really interesting if you do travel. So it has, of course, all the state capitals, and it has some interesting facts. And then it has like a kind of cartoony map but it's pretty accurate. So for the state capitals that I have been to, like I've been to Helena, Montana, Austin, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, a few others, I think. From where I have been, it's pretty spot on accurate, and it has some really cool gems for really great things to see with kids. So we went to Jackson, Mississippi this past year, and like it was the Mercy train. It was like this train that the French had filled with all sorts of goodies and sent to the United States kind of as a thank you after World War II. And when we got there, it was kind of hard to find, and just this little memorial monument thing. It was so cool, and the kids loved it. The kids thought it was cool. And so like these are really interesting, just little gems that your kids are gonna love. And so, if you ever are traveling to a state capital, of course, it has some facts about the state, and then it has these things to see and some descriptions. But then also, if you are not a traveler, I think it would be kind of cool to like pretend. Um, Here's some information about each state, so each of the state flowers and the state animals. Um, a glossary there in the back. And so if you homeschool or even if you don't, if you travel or even if you don't, the state capitals is a really interesting book that gives so much history, so many fun things that I've kind of really enjoyed getting to know more from this book. All right. This is one of Oliver's favorites. This is the Bear Grylls Survival Camp. If you've been with a party with me before, you've probably seen me show some of these. These are the Outdoor Skills Handbook, and we knew about these, and these were really cool. And then we found this, and this is like all of them together, plus a little bit more history, and there's a little bit more storytelling. I'm not going to say it's a narrative, but so Jungle and Savannah. So Explorer's Quest. Here's what you might see. Here's the lost city of the Inca. So there is more history. Here's some safety. Here's what you might wear. How to use a machete, because we might need to know that in Middle Tennessee. River monsters, piranhas. How to wrestle an alligator. Or sorry, a crocodile. My mistake. But it's really, really cool. So Bear Grylls is a survivalist, and he goes and he, I don't know, he's in all sorts of really interesting things. But Lost Cities of Gold. So this one has a lot of very good survival, first aid, camping, traveling, all that good information, animals, different environments, all that stuff. But it also has a little bit more history. And so my son, he's 8, he loves this book. He got this one for his birthday again this year as well. And it says the ultimate all-terrain training manual. And it's a pretty good descriptor. So, and it's also there's a lot to this book. So we like this one. Also, one of our favorites for my son is the Never Get Bored Outdoors. There's also just plain Never Get Bored, and then Never Get Bored, Draw and Paint. And it's pretty accurate, Never Get Bored. When my kids say that they're bored, I like to say, go find your book, go outside, figure something out. It just has a lot of different information, or a lot of different ideas of what to do. So become a naturalist. Owls cough up pellets of food they can't digest, as well as make droppings. Can you find them? Look for things animals leave behind. Identify tracks in soft or sandy ground. Can you spot any signs of animals that have been feeding? Look up in the trees. Can you identify the tree based on the leaves? Make your own helicopter. So you can make it with paper, or you can make it with these seeds that some trees have fall. Be inspired by bees. One of them is like do a dance like a bee. Yeah, that one. This is just like sports that you can do outside. Some of them is kind of survival-y, or things you can do with sticks. This one is like a kind of a going on an adventure maze type thing. There's like what to do on a rainy day. So there's just so many different ideas. And so this one is kind of a flex-bound book, and it has been rained on, and it has been left outside, and it is in not brand new shape, if you can tell by the spine. But it's still really good. It's still like very sturdy. It's not about to fall apart. But this one is really fun, especially if you're kind of outdoorsy or you would like to be a little bit more outdoorsy. Never Get Bored Outdoors. Really good for like spring break when your kids are driving you crazy, or this summer when you need them to get outside. So never get bored outdoors. Slightly related, but not exactly the same. We have the Lots of Things to Know About series. So we've got animals and space. I think we've got oceans somewhere around. And then we also have 100 Things to Know About series. So these are very similar, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the difference. So these are like flex bound again, and I really like the flex bound books. I don't know why, but they're a step above paperback, but they're not quite hardback prices. You know what I mean? So Lots of Things to Know About Space. So this one is very factual, and some of it is like interesting. So how to use a space toilet. I wouldn't know how to do that without reading this book, you know. From another star system far, far away. So there is a lot of facts, not exactly a lot of story in this. And there is quite a lot of information, but not full of information, if that makes sense. So, and a lot of it is just like those really interesting facts that kids just kind of find, and they're like, "Hey, Mom, guess what?" And I'm like, "How did you learn this? That is crazy." But also the books are just really pretty, really colorful, but not super busy. You know what I'm saying? And so these are really fun. I would say for early elementary, like if they're starting to read for themselves, or even if they're not, they like to be read to, but they're really nonfiction based, they like those, this is a good option. Now for a step above, so maybe like middle school, you would go to the 100 Things to Know About. And these are very similar, but like a step above. So it's like the Great Tea Race of 1866. So it talks about different ships, and it's just the same thing, but a little bit more. So there's going to be a little bit more information per page. There's going to be a little bit more context that they would probably know to kind of fit that in. So just this one has 100 different facts. But again, just really pretty books that flex bound. And so you'll see a lot of the different 100 things to know about. You'll see a lot of different things, lots of things to know about. Both of them are really good. This one is probably more elementary age. This one is maybe a little bit older elementary, middle school, even high school, depending on your kiddo. So fun stuff. And along those same lines, understanding money. This one is really good. So my son is very financially motivated. He's if he thinks he can make some money, he'll do it, you know. And this goes deep. It goes really deep. And so we kind of got it thinking, you know, there's a lot of stuff that he could learn, but also there's things I have learned, you know, about how the economy works and different things. So like here's the table of contents. How money works, what makes bills, coins, anything else count as money, why do we trust it? Chapter 2, the story of money, so a little bit of history. Chapter 3, in the bank. Almost every adult has a bank account, but why? What do banks actually do? Are there any alternatives? And was it really the bank's fault that the world suffered a financial meltdown in 2008? Chapter 4, earning and borrowing. Chapter 5, spending, growing, and giving. And so my son is 8. He's in 2nd grade. Some of this we have read. Some of it, because of his age and just the depth that it goes to, we have skipped. So for a middle schooler, they would get it. They would get it. This would be really good. It goes deep. And he would be like well on their way of understanding so much of the financial world. And it asks a lot of really good questions. So how to become a billionaire, how to negotiate. So like this one is very encompassing. There's a lot to it. I mean, it's understanding money, and it's, you know, pretty thick. Actually, there's his bookmark, I think. And so for my 2nd grader, we have picked and chosen things that we've read, things we've talked about. and this is going to be a good book for him to grow into as well. So, and there's a few other ones like this. I think there's one that's called like Understanding the Economy. So look into if you look up the Understanding Money, the other titles should come up as well. All right. Write your own story word book. This one is great if you have like a budding writer, or if you have someone who even struggles with writing, or someone who is a creative thinker. There's also write your own comic books, and there's also write your own script, so like a movie script. And this one, I think I grabbed this one out of my inventory, so it shouldn't be written in. But it says, words are magic. Choosing the right words for your stories is like sprinkling magic dust over them. Take a look at this page to see how some carefully chosen words can transform a scene. So it has like the same example, but it changes the words a little bit. And also, this is a really thick cover with like a spiral paper page in it. So this one is like a kind of like a work on it type book. So you would write inside of it. It has like some different inspiring adjectives. So instead of saying like bad, you might say it's appalling, atrocious, dismal, dreadful, terrible. Really good for building vocabulary, really good for making kids think about other words instead of saying the same thing over and over again. Personality words. So my name is, and I am usually, fill in the blank, but sometimes I am, fill in the blank. So there's lots of really good writing tips in this one. Tropical rainforest. Peering through the gloom, Elroy saw, ... And so my oldest is in second grade. We're not quite here yet, but I'm excited for when we are, because when I was a kid, this is something I would have loved. Like I went through a creative writing phase, but this one is just, there's so much space to write. There's a lot of space to write. A lot of really good writing prompts, and it is like creative writing fiction based. I'm sure you can make some of it nonfiction. That'd be cool too. But it's really pretty. Lots of space to write, and even if you have like a writer who goes long, you could even like use some notebook paper, keep going, fold it up, stick it in your book too. So it's just really, really fun, very creative. For any aspiring authors, anything like that, this one would be a good one. And like I said, there's also write your own comic books, write your own scripts. This one is fun. This is from our Lift the Flaps series, and January was our spotlight on Lift the Flaps, and I love Lift the Flaps for older kids. Like little kids can tear stuff up, and I totally get that. And so Lift the Flaps are not the best for every toddler. I will freely admit that. But this one is like, so it's strongest, cleverest, deadliest, fiercest, hottest, loudest, smelliest, and weirdest. What kid is not going to be interested in what is the smelliest? I haven't met one yet. So this one, there's going to be quite a few flaps. And what's really great about these is if you have a kid who's not a reader, they can take a book like this and they can read a few pages that kind of engage them, and then they can be done. You're not having to read the whole thing at once, or the whole thing over several days, and have to like remember what the other story, what the past pages were about, you know. There's just so much to this. They're engaging, there's a lot of facts, and it's going to be like really engaging to kids who aren't necessarily big into reading. So hottest, like this is the hottest temperature a human has ever withstood, and the coldest temperature a human has ever withstood. The hottest recorded temperature ever, all the way to the coldest. It's like negative 459 degrees Celsius. No, thank you. So it's really interesting. Oliver has like perused this one, and my girls have too. It's like the loudest sounds, and it talks about decibels, and there's just so much to these ones. So like smelliest, it talks about how chemicals smell weird, and some like the most natural in the wild smell you might find versus one you might make in a lab. And so these books I love lift the flaps for littles all the way to bigs, but like especially our lift the flaps for older kids, they're so good at engaging kids to look at a book. So make sure you check out our lift the flap series. All right, got just a few more. This is the Big Picture Atlas. This is not what I expected when I ordered it. So an atlas is like a really big map, and that's basically what it is. So I don't really know what I was expecting, but it does have the world, and it has good, like all the world, and then it goes into specific areas. So by continent, and it just has a lot of information. There's not a narrative, there's not a ton of history, but it's a lot of fun facts like native foods and what you might find, important art, different animals, style, cultural, all sorts of things. So it has like Western Europe, Eastern Europe, all sorts of really fun things. So these pages are really good to just sit and look at, sit and read. If you're doing like a topic over a certain place, these are really, really cool. If you're doing like an overview, these pages for us, we're kind of busy. And so we kind of hung out on like these pages more because we haven't like dug deep yet into some of our countries. But then also here's the United States, and it goes through like here in Tennessee, there's like a person singing. Here's like the space station for the Kennedy Center in Florida. Washington, D.C., like all sorts of stuff in like the area it would be. And it doesn't give a ton of information on any of it, but big picture, really, really good. So we have enjoyed looking at this quite a lot. So this is the Big Picture Atlas, almost done. As far as getting kids reading, so we've got kindergartners this year, and we love our School of Monsters books. So these are early readers, but they're not reading the whole thing. So Bug is one of our monsters, and they're not scary monsters, but it's his first day of school. And so I would read usually the black words, and then my daughters are slowly learning to read the last word of the page. And so they will usually rhyme, which helps. They're usually pretty decodable, so you can sound them out. And there are different levels. Some of these books are harder than others, but they all are designed to be fairly simple readers. At the back, this one has a how to draw a bug, which is really, really cool. And this one has some parent information, how to use this book. It talks about some of the things that you're focusing on. And it also has all the words that they're reading. And so like all the words in green are like, way to go, kid, you got it. The words in yellow are a step above that. And the ones in red are like, if you're reading this, you're a rock star. So the School of Monsters are really good first readers. If you have a kid who is learning to read, this would be good. If you have a kid who's already pretty good at reading, these are really good stories, but not for like learning how to read level type thing. So check these out. And then confession time. I really like science. I don't like doing science experiments. And so this has been so helpful to our homeschool. This is 100 science experiments. And what I like about it, I'll say what my kids like about it and then what I like about it as a parent. A lot of these are like crafts. So it's like you're making a spider and you're making it all cute, all this stuff. Light and color, all the things. So a lot of these are really like aesthetically pleasing. They're like how to cut this out and how to make it really cool and all this stuff. And then on all the pages, all the experiments, it has the what's going on part, and it tells you the science behind it. So to be quite honest, I'm like, here, do it. You have fun, and then I'll read you the science behind it. So it's like, yeah, so it tells you like what you're testing or what it is that causes it to do that. So there's all sorts of like make paper airplanes. And so this one is cool because it is kind of more crafty. It's not, I don't know, it's very like fun, aesthetically pleasing. Like let's make it look pretty and all that stuff. Where some like experiments are just like, just do it, just do the facts, you know? But there is that science element to it. And so my kids are starting to get old enough because I don't like doing experiments. I do, but I don't like having to like gather all the things and put it all together and then it's done in like 2 minutes. So I'm like, here, look at this, do this, and then I'll read the science behind it. So that one's really cool. And then last but not least, because I know it's getting late, this is like the chapter book I chose for tonight. This is the Epic Historic Adventures. This is the Great Escape. So this is like he's in like like Germany when there's still like the Berlin Wall, and he's going across the border. And so this is like historic fiction for mid-elementary age. So I haven't read this to my kids yet. There are no pictures, so this one is like for good, confident readers or just a good read aloud. And it is historic fiction for like late elementary, maybe even early middle school. So this one is, it's a great escape, but will Peter survive? When Peter's family leaves for a trip across the border, he stays behind. So when the government builds a wall through the city, guarded by soldiers, tanks, and ferocious dogs, he is trapped. Everyone says he might never see his family again, but Peter has a courageous plan. So this one is, it's real life. There's real things to it, but it is still a kid's book. So this is kind of a good, safe introduction to some of like the harder things to talk about when it comes to history. So make sure you check out the Epic Historic Adventures. These are really good chapter books and have a really good price point as well. And so they might help you with your history, but also if you're just someone like me, it might just be a really good historical fiction read. So thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I hope that you guys saw something that you liked. If you didn't, let me know and I can share you some of my other like favorites that I share more often in parties like this. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Reach out if you need anything for me. And as always, I can always make personal recommendations if you have a kiddo who's really into something specific. If I don't know, I have a whole team who can help me find stuff. So yeah, just